Hi Panthers, I'm Shanielle Alleyne, and for this year I'll be serving as your host for the Panthers Talk TV series. And today we have an amazing guest. Today we have with us your Student Services and Development Manager, Miss Cherine Richards, and she'll be telling us about her journey as the consummate US student. She started on Irving Hall, then she moved on to be a resident advisor on Mary C. Cole Hall, and then to Student Services and Development Manager here at the Alleyne Hall. So we'll be talking to her about her experiences as a sportswoman, her experiences as a mother, as an entrepreneur, as an educator, and just as an all-round phenomenal woman. So we'll be talking to Miss Cherine Richards today. Stay tuned.
I don't think there is enough words in the English language to describe the type of individual that Cherine Richards is. As an athlete, world class, disciplined, determined, focused, driven, and the list honestly could go on and on. As a manager, as an individual, as a human being, there's so much that can be said. She makes athletes feel secure, she gets everything organized, and she's the best team manager out there, bar none. When you compare about what is out there in the world and what you see happening amongst especially team sports, they're not of the standard, they're not of the ilk of Cherine Richards. That's why she's such a special human being. And the reality is, they don't make people like Cherine Richards anymore. They don't. She's a rare catch. And that's why having individuals like her, once she's in your life, is an absolute gem. And as she continues to thrive and continues to grow and progress in whatever project that she gets involved in, I have no doubt that she will succeed in them.
So one of the things I admire about Cherine Richards is that she goes for what she wants. She dreams big. She not play it small. She think about how to impact people, and then she goes for it. And I think that's an admirable quality in any leader. And just the fact that she just doesn't play by the rules in a good way.
Miss Richards embodies everything the motto says, excellence or nothing, and she not only pushes you to the best of your ability, but is present as a support system.
Cherine Richards, kind, caring, compassionate, always ready to give assistance, always there to give support, ready and willing. Is a modern day Mother Teresa. In the truest sense, she will give her last to the person who she doesn't even know because she finds that they're in need. Her reputation generally precedes her. She's just one of those people who, once you hit UWI campus, you will have to know Cherine Richards because she knows everything. She's overly involved. She does everything. When I came to UWI, I heard about Cherine before I knew her because of her high level of competitiveness. She doesn't like to lose, and she tries to do everything. As a matter of fact, if the rules would permit it, she would probably be playing sports as SSDM for Alleyne. So, yeah, I mean, she's just a jack of all trades and does everything sports-wise, corporate-wise. She does in everything and know everybody in everywhere. He's a real boss. He's a real boss.
Alright, so Miss Richards, thank you for joining us this afternoon. It is my absolute pleasure to be interviewing you. I we threw it up among the artists who wanted to do the interview, and the pleasure and privilege is mine this afternoon to do this interview. So thank you so much, Miss Richards, for joining us this afternoon.
Pleasure is mine.
How are you doing?
I'm great.
It was pouring this afternoon and she made her way here. So we're really, really happy that she was able to join us. And so we're just going to jump into the interview. We just want to know, who are you? Who is Cherine B. Richards?
Cherine Bridget Richards.
Bridget Richards.
Okay, daughter of Kenneth and Lilith Richards, hometown Yorkton, St. Catherine.
Okay.
High school, Women's Trust High School for Girls, and University of the West Indies, tertiary level education.
Right.
Cherine is a fun-loving, free-spirited, adventurous,
Definitely.
stickler for detail, non-procrastinative, really good friend, I'm told.
And you love people.
And I love people. I'm a people person.
Yes.
I'm very much a social being and a social butterfly. and then I love doing things and making people's lives happy.
Right, and contributing to people's lives, and it has to do a lot with what you do now. And we're going to be talking about that. But in preparation for this interview, I ran into a few of your favorite quotes.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them that stood out to me was to never look at your opponent with envy. And before we go into, you know, what you used to do at 20, what it was like for you, I'd love for you to talk about that, you know. What do you mean by never to look at your opponent with envy?
I've taken that throughout life. It came from my background in sports.
Yeah.
As an athlete, I always looked at my opponent, especially if they were better than we were. I played team sports mostly, as persons that I could learn from. What were they doing that I wasn't? So it wasn't a bad mind envious thing.
Right.
So I always look at somebody else, not in awe or to put them on a pedestal as God, but to look at them and say to myself, what can I learn from you? There must be something that you're doing that I'm not doing that's making you rise or be on top. But it was never with envy. So I took that through life, and everything that I do on and off the court, on and off the field, you know, that's
to track the field.
if you have somebody that's doing something, it's never looking on them with an envious, in Jamaican terms, red-eye nature.
Yeah, no bad mind.
No bad mind.
Right, it's just how can I grow from what you are doing.
Right.
And so, Ms. Richards, you spoke a little bit about your background in sports. Are we ready to talk about that? So prepare for us to talk about that. So, Ms. Richards, tell me just a few of the sports you were involved in at the university level and also during high school.
So let's do high school level.
Let's do high school.
I played netball, I swam, and I played volleyball at Woolman's.
Okay.
Didn't do track and field. Mr. Carr, the coach of Woolman's, wanted me to do track and field. My parents said no.
Okay.
But I only did it at that level. Just for fun, you know, co-curricular activities. Didn't have much to do during those days. Now you have so many other things. The WhatsApp, the TikTok, the social media.
So much more to do.
We did just love ram. We come from country and we couldn't do everything.
Outside.
Right.
Outside.
I was an outside girl.
Oh, so that's 3 in high school. I probably played one. and I was very good at it. And you managed to be jack of all trades and master of quite a few of those trades.
Coming into university, I decided I was going to stop playing, you know. And my friends draw me out and say, come to volleyball. There was something called freshers sports.
Oh.
And at freshers sports, you're exposed to multiple sports. And I just did everything as a fresher, and I was good at it and ended up going on the hall teams. So for volleyball, it was outdoor volleyball. You had to play football. Fortunately, I could play football. You had to play netball. I could play netball. So all these things, and you know, just continuing with it at university. And your friend going down the university bowl. The bowl is a space at UA that all the courts are.
Right.
And it was at UA that I picked up hockey.
Field hockey?
Field hockey. But the thing is, the field hockey coach at UA was the hockey coach at Woolman's.
Oh.
So I knew him from Woolman's at the time. It was Mr. Norris Davis. And he said, come man, Cherine, it's a long time you should have been playing this sport. And I did a stint with them. I think I did a season playing hockey, and then I ended up being a hockey goalkeeper.
Wow.
Yeah, so outside of the other sports that I would have played for UA, track and field included being UA's 100 meter and 200 meter champion in 2005, 2006, represented them at intercampus games as well as intercollegiate championships. I played football for UA. I was a forward and a goalkeeper. Played netball, indoor basketball, well, it's indoor because we have the indoor gymnasium, and volleyball. Moving from there, we played at national level.
Right.
So at the national level, I would have been on the Jamaica football squad. Never stayed to make the team. But I would have trained with them a couple times. Right. I played softball one stint for Jamaica. I've played indoor and beach volleyball for Jamaica for a number of years. And I played rugby. That story was, I broke my foot in rugby.
Wow.
I broke my ankles in volleyball.
Contact sport.
Contact sport, but it was buck up that I played rugby because I was managing the team.
And you just ended up playing.
And I ended up playing because one of the athletes got injured. And the girls were like, but Cherine, you can't play. We need somebody to fill in.
Right.
One thing leads to the next.
And you're suddenly a part of it.
And I'm a part of the team. For 2 times I was a part of the team. at CSE games, and we got a medal, third place. So I have a medal for Jamaica for CSE games. And we won the RAN championships in Trinidad and Tobago when I broke my ankle. I think that was 2016. So sports has been a big part of my mid-adult life, except from high school to adulthood and much later on.
But did you find participating in all these sports? Did you find participating in, say, volleyball? Did it erode your skills in rugby?
No, man.
All of them just work together?
I think it helped. Rugby's, depending on the position you play, so you have to be athletic. You have to have speed, and if the ball is high, you have to be able to jump. And my skills actually assisted. Other than the fact that I'm tall, I jumped and I would catch balls and I would dive and I would, my ball handling skills were good.
Right.
So if you toss a ball, the probability of me catching it versus somebody else was much higher.
But you're good with your hands to catch a ball and to kick a ball because you play football too.
You're just athletic.
So you're good at volleyball, you're good at basketball, netball, football. You don't play with those kind of... Wow.
And that made me cop the award of the Premier Award for Sports at UA.
At UA.
3 times.
Which is a big deal.
A very big deal.
Thousands of students are here at the university and you managed to do that 3 times.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is what I want to know now. How did you manage to be such a sportswoman, a phenomenal sportswoman, training, integrating with your team and doing managing teams? How did you manage to do all of that and graduate with a first class honors during your undergraduate years?
I wasn't a party person. I didn't have much distractions. I was very spiritual. I loved to go to my spiritual meetings. And I was the type of person that was very dedicated to whatever I put my mind to. So as I said, I trained. In the daytime I did my schoolwork. I would wear my tights under my school clothes, whatever I wear to school, to go to training.
Right after.
I would, in class, have my sports bra on and my sweater and my clothes in my bag because I'm not going back up to Irving Hall. I have to go straight to the board for training.
Wow.
And we'll be doing multiple sports at a time. And there is the saying, different strokes for different folks, and I believe that. Because I can see, as an adult and, being in student services, where the inability of the student to manage their time, sometimes I'm like, can I just hold you and show you how to do it? Because they become so overwhelmed so easily, and I'm like, you're not doing anything,
You're not doing that much.
And it's a mindset, and the people that I had around me. But I find in this new dispensation, there are so many other things to distract you. And because of the distractions that are going on, I was still playing, I was teaching. I was teaching when I was 21.
Right. I
started teaching at Wilma's Girls' School, took over from Mrs. Montague, who is the now principal. When she became principal, I took over from her. And I never, for one moment, thought that I was doing too much. I was still playing, I was traveling, I was working at Jamaica at the same time.
Exercise, everything, making sure everything was in place, managing teams, doing
No, I wasn't managing teams then.
Oh, not yet?
No, the management of the teams came after I gave up the athletics.
Wow.
So after I gave up being an athlete.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, Ms. Richards. And I'm left speechless. Because I'm actually quite surprised at how much you were able to do and manage to get a first class honors degree. What was your undergraduate degree in again?
Social and psychology.
Right here at the University of West Indies. So Ms. Richards, with everything you've accomplished so far, right? With all the trophies, all the countries you've been to, all the places you've represented Jamaica, all the medals, all that you've accomplished as a student services development manager, and all you will accomplish. What's been the most outstanding thing so far? What's been
getting a daughter. Getting a daughter has been the most outstanding thing. I think because of sports, if it wasn't for sports, I would not have her. I didn't have her, but I have her.
Right.
She was left with me coming out of the Namibian Athletic Development Program. I used to manage that program. And they couldn't take her back to Namibia at the time. Right. So her dad asked me to keep her for the summer. And one summer leading to 2, summer leading to 3, summer leading to she living in Jamaica with me for 7 years.
Wow.
So Dapewa Hamola is her name. Dapewa Letu Hamola. And she has been a blessing beyond what I could ever imagine a daughter to be.
Right.
I got to skip the terrible 2s and the terrible 3s.
Right.
So I got her when she could say my tummy is hurting and my head is hurting. But it has been a really good experience mothering her. And we love each other dearly and we can't see our lives separate from each other. She has expressed that a number of times and so have I.
But Ms. Richards, I'd like to know, how do you love her like that? Because I've seen your relationship and it's maternal love. This isn't how you love your niece, this is real maternal love. I just love to know how did that happen, you know?
It's hard to describe, it just happened, but I think it's a part of my nature, the mothering side of me. Teaching, beginning to teach so early. I started teaching at 21 years old. So I always had students looking up to me for guidance, students, you know, because teachers are in effect mothering your children when you're not at home.
Right, they spend so much time at school.
So I have had that kind of experience being a caregiver on that note. And half of my friends, their kids stay with me.
Right.
So I'm the fun auntie.
You're rich auntie.
No. I'm the fun auntie.
Okay.
The auntie that lets them express themselves and run up and down. I take them out. They don't break anything in my house and they break things at their parents' house. And I allow them to be and you know to express, to explore. So the thing about it is I took that it was innate and it just went over into the pair. And it was pretty easy because she's easy to love. And that pair wasn't a troublesome kind of child either. So I just took her everywhere I went. She got introduced to the people I knew and my friends loved her and my family loved her and she's growing so well.
Does she still identify as Namibian?
I try to keep her roots in the forefront of her mind.
Right.
Thank God for the internet and social media so she can see what's happening in her country.
Right.
But one day it is my hope that we'll be able to sooner than later visit so she can see her family and friends.
And where she's from and so.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely love it. We have some pictures on screen of the Pewa and Miss Richards. And I'm not sure if you can see, but I know that you can just feel the love exuding and radiating from those pictures. Well, Miss Richards, you spoke a lot about a lot of things being on your plate. And as you got older, you learned to organize that plate. What does that plate look like now?
There's a filet mignon. The plate is still full.
Yeah.
I took on this year being the manager of the Women's Boys track team as well. So I manage both schools, the track team.
Wow.
No. And happy to say that under our management and new coaching staff, we got back into the top 10 for Boys and Girls Championships in May for both teams.
Wow.
The plate has on it a store. Me being a store owner and entrepreneur, being my own lady boss, has been so fulfilling. I was always into fashion and entrepreneurship because as a teacher going to Woolmer's every time, you know, I would bring things from my travels and sell to the teachers. So when I was out of a job, quote unquote, for all of 24 hours, before I got this job, I said to myself, I wanted to open a store. I literally was in the hairdresser. And I said, I need a space. And the hairdresser said, you know, the store in the corner is available. And I said, what? And she said, hey man, call the landlord. And I didn't think about it. I just did it.
Just did it.
My father was a business owner for over 30 odd years. I grew up in a factory in Linstead, a bakery. I saw my father build a community. I saw my father work hard and impact lives.
Right.
And I was always into dressing modest and fashionable and just classic. Yes. And I said I wanted to open a store that had that kind of taste, that had my personality. And that since May 2018, I opened the store, and Corona hit, which caused the stores, because things have been closed down,
right.
So it hasn't been good for business. But knowing me, I'll find a way to revamp and make it work, even trying to go online and, you know, making it work. But it has been a good experience. So the plate is full. I'm now a mother. I have a store. I manage teams. I manage a hall of residents on campus.
You manage a whole university program.
I manage a university program. I still work in construction. Do a lot of things in real estate. So it's about at any point in time, and I tell you about my philosophies in life, always bring your 10 dynamic selves to the table.
10?
10, man. You can have more, you know, but 10.
Why is the minimum 10?
Minimum 10 because there's no one person that is one track. Sometimes you don't know what your other parts of you are until you come to the table and you say, but you know, I can do that. And then all of a sudden you become that.
Right.
So if I'm in a discussion and you call somebody to be a mother, I'm a mother. If you call somebody to be an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur. If you want me to be a scientist, I'm a scientist, even though I wasn't in sci-tech.
Yes.
If you want me to be a mechanic, I can be a mechanic. So always, that's one thing I live by. In the discussion, in the discourse of life, always bring your 10 dynamic selves to the table. And being in education has helped me. I also like the saying, you must have ambition. You know, like people who ambition.
Just that, you must have ambition.
You must have ambition and then we can work on it. If you don't have ambition, I don't have a base. I don't have a base to work with. So if you, as a student, I say, what do you want? You tell me, say, boy, Miss Rich, I want to move that mountain. My next thing is, so how we going to move the mountain? What we going to do to move the mountain?
Right.
Not that you can't move the mountain, you know.
What steps to it?
What steps are we going to take to it? I also believe in having manners and respect.
You're a very big advocate for that.
Very big advocate for that. I gravitate towards people who are respectable, who are, you know, have manners. And old people love to say that, they must have manners and respect. You know, but it's so true.
Is it because you're a country girl?
No, man, it's just something that country, town, downtown, uptown, downtown, I have realized that the people who have this kind of a demeanor, people gravitate towards them and even give them a first chance. Even if they disrespect after, you know, even if them get rude after, just the initial discourse will make somebody say, you got the job.
Manners
stick across the world.
Definitely.
Right. And then I have one more thing, which is just do it and fake it to make it. Just do it is Nike's logo. The stick. If it needs to be done, just do it. And fake it to make it simply means, for me, sometimes you have to be what you are not to be what you need to be.
Right. You
So
eventually learn to become that
you learn
person?
to become it. If you want to let it go, you let it go. But we are all actors on a stage. That's a sociology of it. We're all actors on a stage. So therefore, if we have to fake it for this moment, we fake it. We make it.
Right.
And if you want to drop it after, you drop it. And move on to the next part of your personality.
When was one time when you had to fake it until you made it?
Oh, being a teacher.
Oh,
Lord, being a
this
teacher.
is easy.
At 21,
That
when
came
I had 21 girls in the class at 21, 22 girls. 6 of those girls were my teammates when I was their captain. In 6th form, they were in 3rd form. So they knew you.
Right.
They respected you, but they pushed buttons. Oh man, I was a teacher. And I faked it in the classroom. And when we come out of the classroom, I was like, oh my God.
I made it to another class.
I made it to another class, so like I have to go back again. You know, teach them, make sure they understand, and afterwards you unwind until it became the norm and until it became part of who I was.
Until you made it.
Until I made it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Miss Richards.
Thank you for having me.
So that was an amazing conversation with Miss Cherine Richards, and we are so happy that she was able to join us. Join us next time for an amazing and riveting conversation with Mr. Aubrey Stewart, one of the founding resident advisors here at Georgia Lane Hall.